Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, March 7th meeting of the Tuckahoe Village Board of Trustees. If everyone would please stand up, we're going to do the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the village clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Giordano.
Present.
Trustee Luisi.
Present.
Trustee Leo.
Present.
Trustee Alfasi.
Present.
Mayor Eklund.
I am very happy to be here tonight. I have no appointments to make tonight on our agenda, so the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually talk about why this room is packed tonight. So I would actually like to ask Mr. David Pope if he can come on up to the microphone, and I'm putting him on the spot here. I'd like him to introduce some of the coaches and maybe give our audience at home an explanation as to why this room is filled with all these beautiful young ladies, and maybe we can get a cheer out of them tonight, too. I've been kind of looking forward to that.
Mayor Eklund, the Board of Trustees, thank you for having us
The mic.
tonight. But I'll turn it off. Okay. So once again, thank you for having us. But I would just like to say that there's 21 girls here, and they represent the Tuckahoe Tiger cheerleading team. And just to give you a little bit of background, last year was the first year that we went down, and we placed fifth. And that was a big accomplishment. But then afterwards, they came up to me and they said, we want the white jackets. We want to be national champions. And I went out, and I have coaches back there, which I'll mention. They probably don't want to come up to the podium right now. But Caitlin Partenza back there. Lori Romeo. Gabby Scatino. And I have to say, myself, I went from coaching football to coaching baseball to now coaching cheer.
Round of applause for Mr. Pope.
Yeah. It's a tremendously hard feat what these young girls accomplished. What I can tell you is they're going down. You have to qualify at regionals, and we qualified at regionals, but then you had to go down to Walt Disney and Disney World and compete against the top 20 teams in the country. I can tell you this, the amount of hours that these girls have dedicated, weekly, weekends, missing family functions, fully dedicated to achieving their goal. And what they achieved is probably second to none. They went down, and we did absolutely fantastic in the semifinals, and we moved on to the finals, and they achieved first place, and they are national champions. So, congratulations. I don't think it really has sunk in with them yet that some of them, all the way from 11 to 14 our oldest, that they're national champions. I mean, there's not many people that can walk around at that age and claim that they're a national champion.
So let's just get it straight here. These girls are the best cheerleaders in the entire United States of America.
For their division, 100%.
That's unbelievable. That's incredible.
So we go down, we compete, we obviously placed first in the nation, and we went to Worlds, and that's against all different nations in the world. And the girls they have a vengeance to go back and win Worlds. We came in 0.5 away, half a point away from world champion. So I think the girls are going to go back and win world champion, right, girls?
Wow.
Yeah. The one thing I can tell you is they were extremely proud, and they were honored to go down representing Tuckahoe. And I think this is the first team in Tuckahoe's history to have a national title. So,
That's-
girls, congratulations.
Oh, yes. You know, girls, I was kind of following you on Facebook, and I was getting some Facebook posts and some emails from Mr. Pope. You know, Tuckahoe's a small little village. You know, when you think about all the towns and villages in the United States of America, we have 6,000 people who live here. It's about as small as you're going to find. You girls are the best. That's just, I'm really in awe. And I want to thank you so much for representing our village. You have given us just that extra little bit of polish that Tuckahoe always can use. And you know what? You're really shown. You really shine this year. So thank you so much. You made us look great. You guys have done a great job. Looking forward to next year. And we have some certificates that we would like to actually give you. So, but I hear that maybe we're going to get a little cheer. I would love to see some kind of a cheer or something.
I don't know if you want these girls to get up and do
I don't know.
dancing.
I'll
There's
tell you
not
what,
enough room.
I was
They'll go right
watching
through
it.
the ceiling.
They're
But
going 20 feet in the air.
I think they can give you a cheer, and I think it'll be loud enough. So, girls, you know what cheer you're doing? Louder.
To win it, and we want it bad. You gotta cheat us, what? Beat us, what? That's really sad. Get it, got it, Tuckahoe. Tigers, woo woo. Tigers on three. 1, 2, 3, Tigers.
All right. You have a great fan club up here and all the residents. And you know, there was something that Mr. Pope didn't mention is that you guys work so hard just on some of the fundraising too. I know I was at a car wash that you're at. You know, it's not that you guys, I know there's a tremendous amount of hours that you put into practicing, but there's another step. You take ownership of your program. You know, you make sure that everyone can afford to go down there. And you did a great job. You really made us proud. So thank you. Actually, we have a representative from the town of Eastchester's here, and we have certificates from Senator George Latimer's office, as well as Mr. Calavita has asked Tuckahoe's own Luigi Marcocha to come down. So we're going to call you all up. We have certificates for everyone. It's a big pile here.
Yours?
I'm going to call you Alexa Pope. Thank you. Would always help to have a microphone. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Olivia Jordan. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Paige Box. These three girls are the captains of the team. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Allison Coombs. Great job. Amelia Caraturo. Thank you. Brianna Scatino. Great job, Brianna.
Thank you.
Chloe Davis. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Gianna Morano. Congratulations. Gianna Cuccinello. Congratulations. Julia Tucci. Great job. Haley Pagnotta. Congratulations. Isabella Pepperman. Congratulations. Julia DeLulio. Juliana Romeo. Congratulations. Mackenzie Dowd. Congratulations. Melissa Dean. Or Dean, I hope I. Miranda Zaccone. Congratulations. Reagan Hommel. Renisha Williams. Congratulations. Sarah Kaufman. Great job, Sarah. Sydney Nealis. Congratulations. I think I got everyone here. Thank you very much, Mr. Marcocha. And you know, it's so nice if you noticed everyone was here. So you know what? Great team, great sports. Thanks again for making us very proud of you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, board. And congratulations to all the girls here. You did an unbelievable job. And on behalf of myself, our town supervisor, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, he's got a touch of the flu, and that he's trying to get over. But he's just so impressed, and so is the entire town board, with what you've been able to accomplish. I mean, to be #1 in the nation is unbelievable, and to be #2 in the world is just incredible. And more than anything, I think, you know, I know you're very proud of yourselves and what you've been able to do, not individually, but as a team. I think going forward, as you get into high school and college and go on to be successful in whatever you decide to do, you're always going to look back. It's going to be this group of girls that got this done, I think for the first time in the history of Tuckahoe. And you're going to be so proud of yourselves, not only today, but forever. So you're going to be talking on the phone and you're going to say, wow, remember we did that? And just what a great thing. So congratulations.
Any of my colleagues have anything they would like to say?
Just like to echo some of the sentiments that have already been expressed. Congratulations to all of you girls. That is such a tremendous accomplishment. I think we would have been proud if you had won the county. We would have been proud if you won the state. But to come back and actually win the national championship is really terrific, and it's a moment that I think you guys will be able to look back on throughout your lives and reflect upon as something to be proud of. And you'll also leave something with us in Tuckahoe that we'll always be proud of as well. So congratulations.
I can't help but think back to when we used to hold a microphone up to the cassette player at halftime for the football games, and then we finally graduated to CDs, and we were able to play that music and get a fantastic performance from the cheerleaders. I think the most important thing, and Mr. Pope mentioned it, just think, anytime you walk into the room from now on in, people are going to look at you and say, there's the champions, the national champions, and I think that is really a badge of honor to wear proudly. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Young ladies, you know, I just want to say I know a few of you. You're neighbors and certainly friends. My children are about your same age, and that's how we know each other, and your parents, and I couldn't be more proud. I couldn't say anything more than it's already been said. We're extremely proud of you. Thank you.
I'm going to echo what everyone else has said here. I mean, you guys really made Tuckahoe proud, and congratulations again. And hope you guys win at the Worlds next year. Rooting for
Yes. I'd like to ask Caitlin, Coach Caitlin, if come on up. Yes, we have a certificate for the entire coaches. Now, she wasn't this shy when you were down in Orlando, was she? Congratulations. Thank you so much. You did a great job. You and your team did a great job.
It's so nice to see the town stand behind these girls, so thanks again.
Thank you. Was there anybody from the public that would like to say anything? All right, Barbara, I see you're poking somebody. Well, you know what? I think we covered it. We're so proud of you, and you know what? We're going to be watching you for next year. So we wish you all the best, and enjoy the rest of your school year. And you're walking a little bit taller than I think the rest of the year. So again, congratulations. We're going to take a little break because I don't think anybody wants to stick around for the rest of this boring meeting tonight. So thank you.
That means we can go?
What?
That means we can go?
Can go? Can we?
We can go?
All right, well, we do this every year. We have a special presentation, and we're going to talk about the reason why there is a green line down White Plains Road. So if my friends from the Irish American Social Club would like to come on up and tell us a little bit about who you are and your organization, and this is your time to shine every year.
Stephen Uvain, 37 Hickory, Eastchester. First of all, what the girls accomplished and what everybody just viewed here, it truly is significant. One of my daughters was a cheerleader, and that is difficult. That the work that they put into it, just to become state, as you mentioned, is amazing. But the fact that they won nationals, that's huge. I mean, that's such a target. That is the gold medal in the Olympics.
It is.
So congratulations to Tuckahoe for a terrific job. So, in 1966, 50 years ago, three proud men, Larry Nangle, Ned Hayes, and Bill Foy, filed paperwork here in Tuckahoe to start a club. That club was the Eastchester Irish American Social Club. As we celebrate our 50th year, the Eastchester Irish Social Club is proud to sponsor our 12th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. The parade will be held on Sunday, March 13th. We'll step off here at the parking lot of Immaculate Conception Church, and we thank Father Sorgi for that. And we'll proceed from 3 p.m., proceed north on Main Street to Route 22 and finish up at Lake Isle Country Club. In our 50th year, we are very proud to honor Dr. Helene Myrta Dooley as our parade Grand Marshal, and Mrs. Kathy Doody and Christine Doody Doherty as our 2016 honorees. The family of the Grand Marshal, Helene Myrta Dooley, emigrated to New York from Ireland in the late 1800s. They hailed from the counties of Cork and Roscommon on her mother's side, and from the county Westmeath on her father's side. As you know, Helene has always been very active in our community, and for many years has volunteered her valued time supporting worthy causes. Along with helping with various community services, Helene has served on a number of parade committees and volunteered to lead a number of social events, and she's very active in other aspects. Helene is married to Eastchester Town Councilman Joe Dooley, and while Helene is our Grand Marshal, I want to briefly recognize Councilman Joe Dooley. Simply put, Councilman Dooley, one of those people who drive success without a lot of fanfare and is always there to make things happen. I've always known Joe as one to deliver on his promises, so congratulations to both Helene and Joe. Helene and Joe joined our club in 2001 and are, more importantly, the proud parents of Brian and Caroline. Along with the Grand Marshal, the committee is equally as proud of the selection of our honorees, Mrs. Kathy Doody and Christine Doody Doherty. Kathy Doody's parents hailed from the west of Ireland, counties Mayo and Roscommon, and Kathy Doody's husband, as you all know, is James P. Doody. He was a very good man, and he served as the town supervisor in Eastchester for 10 years. Kathy and Jim Doody were married and lived in the Bronx, and then moved to Eastchester to raise their 5 children. Mrs. Doody, a devoted wife and mother, is known to be one who quietly worked behind the scenes, as she often volunteered to support club functions over the years. Christine Doody Doherty, Kathy and Jim's daughter, is the other honoree. Christine has been a member of the club since 1978, And it could be summarized as stating Christine is very proud of her parents, her family, her husband Steve, another good man, and their 3 children, Katie, Mary, and Jack, and her Irish heritage. Growing up in a family where Irish pride and a spirit of service was fundamental, it is no surprise Christine's Irish pride and her spirit of service are clearly evident in the many clubs and committees she has been part of. No doubt, one of Christine's proudest accomplishments was her collaboration with loved ones to establish the Jim Duty Foundation in memory of her dad to raise funds for brain tumor research at Duke University. So now I'll ask my colleague, Pat Merza, to come up and give a little more information regarding the parade and our honorees.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Pat Murta, 3 Myrtle Place. How are you, Steve? You know, Ireland is a small country. It's kind of like Tuckahoe. And the way you acknowledge your victors tonight is the way we acknowledge when we have a champion in our country. It's not often that a country of 3 million has a gold medalist at the Olympics, and when we do, we know how to celebrate, as you know, Steve, and anybody who's at an Irish party know how we celebrate. And how you celebrated tonight with those ladies was terrific. I know some of them myself from coaching soccer, although Steve's children are older at this point, and it's wonderful to see our children accomplish such a marvellous thing, and at a national level. As you say, a country of 200 plus million, and we're, whatever, 10, 12,000. An amazing honour, and they deserve everything they get, guys. You know, I know they're going to get a sign at the entrance of town, so congratulations again on behalf of the girls. And this is the year of the ladies, by the way, in the Eastchester Irish American Social Club and their parade. And interestingly enough, I pulled out also, in addition to us celebrating our 50th anniversary, in the year 1916 of our Lord, Ireland gained independence from the British Isles in the Easter Rising, which is coming up very soon, on April 22nd. And the proclamation of Ireland was the only proclamation of its era that mentioned women equally to men. It says Irish men and Irish women proclaim that day as their Independence Day. And so this year we're honouring 3 wonderful women, as you have honoured all these 21 wonderful girls. It's fitting, I think, on our 50th anniversary, on the 100th anniversary of 1916 Rising, that and the freedom of Ireland, that these 3 wonderful women would represent us. You all know Joe Dooley from his 350th anniversary. And the history of the Irish in Tuckahoe, by the way, is strong, is very strong. As you know, the Tuckahoe marble started here, and there's a whole section of it in the 350th anniversary, as to how the Irish settled here with the Italians. And after we were done fighting with each other, we celebrated with food and drink, right? Like all Irish and Italians should.
True.
Absolutely. It's the only thing to do. I think for those of you who are into MMA, you saw we have one Irishman right now who's fighting a lot, but he fights. He's very brash, but he also has honour in loss, and he lost on Saturday night, and you could see the humbleness of him. His victor, he gave him plaudits and just went on about business, and that's the way Joe and Helene did things. They're just amazing, humble people. Joe is the quiet one. He's unlike me. You don't hear him, you don't see him, but by God, he gets a lot done. And Helene is the same thing. Helene in our town has been I was lucky to join the library, and as you know how important the library is, Helene was first of all, it started as the Friends of the Library treasurer, and then moved on from there and went to the library board and was the president of the library board for many years. And from being in business with J.P. Morgan, she moved into the library world. Strange step, but she always wanted to teach. As you know, Steve, on Saturday night we had our festival at Lake Island Molinos. And I got to know a lot about Helene from her siblings, who are characters, and also Martha's, like myself. Except they spelled their name incorrectly, but that all happened at Ellis Island. But she was from a very young age a nurturing person and a teacher, and she teaches our kids. I know my kids have all been with her, Steve's kids have all been with her in the high school, and she just gives so much back to the community. And Joe, when he was doing the 350th anniversary, did so much to this community, and Linda and several other people, obviously, whom I don't know, but he worked tirelessly to get this together. And the history of Tuckahoe, Eastchester, the marble, the community, and how it sort of aspired what it is. And now what we're very proud of in the Eastchester Irish is our collaboration with the Italian community. And by the way, I want to mention one point and sad note. this time last year when I was presenting and sitting in your chair, Mr. Leo, was a wonderful man who we all miss dearly. And I would love to ask the board if at the end of this meeting perhaps we could have a moment's silence for Stephen Quigley. Stephen was your representative last year at the parade, and it was, you know, it was with shock when I heard very shortly thereafter of his loss and of the loss of the town to Steve, because Steve was a great man, an Irishman, a Democrat, I believe, but worked together with this town to put together what it is. Both towns have a wonderful, wonderful, whether it's a board or the trustees, who do what is right for the town and the village and not what is right by their political views. And Stephen was one of those. So we miss him dearly, and we missed him at this year's event, and we think of his wife and his children at this time when we celebrate. We don't forget our fallen, and we certainly won't forget Stephen. But to go back to sort of where I was, and Helene and Joe, and then obviously Christine Doody, Doherty, and Kathy. You know, again, this is a group that served the community, that served the town and the villages. Christine did it again on the Eastchester Library Board and then went into the Eastchester Town Board for a year. And all she wanted to do was the right thing for her community, and loved every moment of it. Her father and Kathy's husband, back in 1984, was the first Democratic town supervisor of Eastchester in 70 years. And one would have thought that as the only Democratic member of a board with 4 Republican members, that would have been difficult to get anything passed. However, Jim was just a consummate gentleman, and the first meeting that happened, there was such a crowd, similar to what you had here tonight, that were behind him because they truly wanted an open government, and they voted with him, and he continued. I think it was Tony Colville, read an article about it where Tony Colville Sr. said it was a fluke that Jim got in. But he served for another 5 terms, and he served because he wanted to do what was right for the people, the same as you guys do. And his daughter and his wife would be so proud, and I know he's looking down on them this weekend, this Sunday, as a proud Irishman and a proud Westchester native and a proud Tuckahoe native. He was the school board president for years as well, even though all of his kids went to Catholic school. So the group that we have this year and that we're honouring have done so much for this town and this village and this county for that matter. And I think Joe will continue to do it for many years. I love Joe, what he's doing, and as I said to his wife, I think if Tony ever decides that he wants to step aside, could be the heir apparent for the town of Eastchester, although he doesn't want to be pushed that way. But I want to sort of wrap up, guys, and say this Sunday, as every Sunday around the same time of year, March 13th, we will have our Mass this year at 10 o'clock, not 10:30, because we've reduced the number of Masses in ICS. And for those of you who haven't been to that Mass, it is sort of, for an immigrant, awesome, because at the end of the Mass, and it's a beautiful ceremony, they sing both the American National Anthem and our own Naveen, or the Irish National Anthem, our soldier song. And I can tell you that it's make the hair on the back of my neck stand up when that happens, because as Steve, my friend who was honoured last year, said, there is no greater country than this country to live in, and I am so fortunate to be living here and living in this town of Eastchester and being a part of the village of Tuckahoe. It's wonderful to see what's happening in the village. There's tremendous change, and we love change, and we see the changing of an era. I'm the older member, whereas 20 years ago I was the kid in this group. Now I'm the older member, and to see all of what's happening in Tuckahoe with the new buildings and the new potential for coming into this town, and for us to introduce them to the Italian and the Irish heritage, we love that. And we just, you know, we look forward to this Sunday at 3 o'clock. All of you gentlemen hopefully joining us on the parade.
We will be there for sure.
I'm delighted that you will, Steve. And we will be marching in unison with 7 Irish step dancing groups, with 8 pipe bands, and I believe 7 bands. It's going to be a kick-butt parade, guys. It really is. I mean, we love putting this on for the town of Eastchester. It's a great time. There's nothing like, unless you live with the guy who plays the pipes all the time, there's nothing like hearing those pipes once a year coming down the streets of Eastchester. So join us at 10 o'clock for Mass. Afterwards, we'll have a little bit to eat and drink, get some sustenance in before we start our marching. And at 3 o'clock, we'll march up 22, starting in the wonderful village of Tuckahoe and ending up in Lake Isle. And if you want to join the Eastchester Irish, as I've said, you don't have to have a drop of Irish blood, lads. As long as you have $20 and a sense of humour and enjoy a few parties every year, you're welcome to join us. Seriously. We had a finish off on this also. We had a great event this year with the Eastchester Italians. They were phenomenal. I mean, they invited us and challenged us to a golf tournament. And this Saturday, I'm sorry for dragging on so long, but they began what was supposedly a rivalry, but ended up being an absolute embrace, because John Murta and Joe Dooley played with Italians that day, and that's probably, as John says, why they lost. But we raised $17,000, guys, and $8,500 of that will go to the Italian American Social Club's to their scholarship fund. And on Saturdays, you were there, Steve, 16 scholarships of $500 each was awarded to 16 young kids from the villages of Tuckahoe, towns of Eastchester and Bronxville. And it's just, that's what it's all about, guys. It's giving back to the community, making us a better place. And I thank you for listening to me, as you always do, unfortunately, for the last 12 years. And Steve here, my good friend, who was honored last year. And we look forward to it. The weather's going to be great, by the way, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say. The weather is always great, and it's warming up this week, so we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much for coming down.
I wish the weather was always great, Steve. Sometimes.
It's been sketchy sometimes, but you know what? We always march.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you again, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Rain or shine, we're going to march. Thank you. All right, that's going to bring us to the portion of our agenda tonight for public hearings. And the first is public hearing number 1, which is the continuation of a public hearing to consider the proposed modifications to the village code regarding restaurants and fast food establishments. Do I have a motion to continue this public hearing and discussion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. The first question I'm going to ask is, have we had any new correspondences regarding this in the past month? Okay. This is the fast food legislation that we've been talking about for, oh my goodness, I'm not sure how long now. Very, very long time. So we're actually going to close this up tonight, but I'm going to open this up to anybody from the public who would like to anybody want to speak on the fast food legislation that we were proposing? Yes, sir. Oh, somebody cut you off over here, this gentleman here. Yes, sir, please, and then we'll get to you in the back. Come on up. If you could just tell us your name and your address, please.
Sherry Frusciante, 4 Concert Drive, Tuckahoe, New York. I think we had enough of the public hearings on a modification to the village code requiring fast food establishments. The board and the mayor should vote on this as soon as possible. We have enough delis and restaurants on Main Street already, and one fast food store right next to us, and one restaurant closed right across the street from us. I am against the fast food chains, for they are not healthy to the public. With almost everything they serve is fried. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, sir. Hello.
How are you?
Very well. If you just give us your name and your address, please.
427 California Road,
Thank you.
and my name is Joseph Amato, Joey Amato. Hello. One of the reasons why I chose to move to Eastchester, Tuckahoe, to have my children go to Tuckahoe, I could have pretty much moved pretty much anywhere I wanted in Westchester. And after giving careful study and careful understanding of the different areas and demographics that I've been driving from the Bronx since I've been 17, since I got my license, I've always been a little bit of an adventurous, so I've always driven into Westchester, and I always found it kind of very interesting that when I would drive up 22 from Mount Vernon all the way to White Plains, that there were no fast food joints, fast food establishments. And I, coming from Morris Park section of the Bronx, Queensbridge Road, there's tons of fast food restaurants and tons of fast food places, and there's nothing to stop them from opening up any day of the week, anywhere they want. And again, I believe in economics and I believe in things of that nature, yet I found it very interesting that there was a place that didn't have this. And when I made my decision to where I wanted to move to, along with when I went to Tuckahoe Grammar School, Cottle, to see what kind of establishment this was and to see and meet these teachers, I found that the teachers were very friendly. They seemed to really love what they did. They really were on another level compared to the majority of the Westchester grammar schools that I went to, and I visited a lot because I do my homework. And then I made my decision to buy the house. When we made that decision, it was based on the fact that there were no food establishments. One of the things that I rant and rave about living here is that there are no fast food establishments along that route. And I find that and found that to be very interesting for the mere fact that I felt it was for the well-being of the children, first and foremost, which are the future, the very thing that we just commended here. And second to that, along with moving here, I decided myself to open up a business. So I am the owner of Pure Food and Drink in Tuckahoe. I could have opened up that first establishment, which was the model for what was going to come down the pipe in the future, anywhere in Westchester again. And I chose to open it in Tuckahoe because I believed in this village. I truly enjoy the look of it. I enjoy everything about it and the people. And looking back at this, I didn't know that you guys had approved of rental apartments to open up around the corner, and I didn't have any reason for doing this other than that I believed in a healthy product, and I believed in our children, and I believed in the people to have that option. So one of the things that I am completely against is fast food. Keep it somewhere else. It's better off somewhere else. In a neighborhood like this or an establishment to open up in such an area, I agree with this gentleman who just said there is no reason for our children, when they get old enough to drive a car, let them go drive to somewhere to go pick it up if that is their choice. But here, I am completely for this ban, and I've only been privy to this for about 3 weeks. I just found out about this, and I made it a special point to close down my business to be here tonight. So number one, thank you for listening to me speak, and I commend the cheerleaders. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I really agree with everything that you guys and you gentlemen said, and everyone commended them for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for opening a business in Tuckahoe, too. Okay. Anybody else from the public? Yes, sir.
Mayor, trustees, Anthony Fiore, 3 Midland. I'm glad you guys are going to vote on this tonight. We don't need no more fast food places here. Maybe we get some little mom and pops opening on Main Street. They can open up the same thing wherever they want to open up. Get a health food store, get whatever you want to open up, as long as we get local people in there. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? I'm going to actually ask if there's any comments from the board. I mean, we've been talking about this for an awful long time. Any additional comments from?
I'm going to save mine for the vote.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, so with that, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Next is public hearing number 2, which is a public hearing on a proposed local law modifying Appendix A zoning of the Village Code and compliance with corresponding SEQA regulations. Do I have a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. And I'm going to ask our village attorney, Gary Gertzen, if you just explain. I believe we're still waiting on some comments to come back, so.
We've been, we sent out a blanket memo to the boards, the zoning board and planning boards for their comments. We received a number of comments back. We've addressed those with Frank Fish, our planner. There are some concerns with a couple of these local laws that are proposed, so we're still working through those. So I don't believe I'm comfortable, or Mr. Fish as our planner is comfortable, ready to go forward with these until there's some tweaking or removal of some. I know that the ones that the issues are with are the FAR with the basement and the front yard parking. So we're still working our way through those to see what potential the impact of those could be before we can advise the board. And
we also had some correspondence, I think, from some residents, too, that we received. I know we received one just recently, yes. Mm-hmm. So yes, we're going to keep this one open. We know that. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this? This is going to be some zoning code changes that we're going to be making. Anybody else on the board here?
Mr. Mayor, I'm just very proud to say that this is exactly what government is supposed to be for. getting input from the public, getting input from our expertise from Mr. Frank Fish, getting input from our planning and zoning boards. This is exactly how it's supposed to work, and I'm happy that we're taking our time going through and deliberating these changes or proposed changes, and they may or may not work out, but this is exactly the process that we're supposed to do.
Conversation goes on, for sure. All right, so in the interest of allowing as much dialogue as we can on this topic, we're going to keep this public hearing open. So do I have a motion to keep the public hearing open?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. We're going to adopt some minutes. We have the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of February 8, 2016. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Do we have any correspondences this month? We did not, okay, other than the one I just referenced before. So that's going to bring us to the first opportunity to come and talk to us, address this board on anything that is on our agenda tonight, anything that's on this agenda. And if not, we're going to move to our resolutions. Resolution number 1 is adopting a proposed local law modifying the village code regarding fast food establishments. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And we will have a little discussion. So what this is this is actually us taking a vote on adopting the ban, if you want to call it that, of the fast food. We're adopting the same legislation that the town has proposed. It's the legislation that we've had on our website, and it's we've discussed this for probably 6 months, or at least 6 months, I'm going to say at this point. So this resolution, when we're voting in favor of it tonight, we're voting in favor of adopting that piece of legislation which will ban those fast food establishments. I will be voting in favor of banning these fast food establishments. I've listened to both sides of the debate on this issue, and I'm very comfortable with adopting the language that we have proposed here tonight. So that's my comment. Any of my colleagues on the board here?
So yes, we've had this open for a long time. We've had quite a bit of discussion. Sorry. We've had quite a bit of discussion and we've had quite a bit of feedback from the public, I think, over the past months. And I think we've done our job to really listen, consider carefully. And it's not is that simple an issue. I think we've touched upon this before, because you really are balancing what I think we like is for freedom of commerce, people to be able to engage in the commercial market the way they choose, against the, I think, equally important consideration, which is to maintain the village in a manner that we are accustomed to maintain the way it looks, to maintain its feel. And so that's really what we have our zoning laws for. I think if you balance those two factors and you look at them together, I think what we're doing here in adopting this ban this evening is good for Tuckahoe. I think it addresses considerations such as health concerns. I think it addresses issues of trash concerns. I think it helps to maintain the appearance that we like to have as we drive through our village and that some of our residents have touched upon this evening. I think it helps in terms of traffic concerns. And if you consider all of those together, I think we are taking a step in the right direction. I think the definition that we've come up with in mirroring that of Eastchester is a carefully considered one. It may cause certain places that are fine establishments to not be able to come into the village. But I think in balance, this is something that's good for us, it's good for our residents, and I intend to vote in favor of that ban this evening.
Very well said, thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Luisi.
It's actually a year ago.
Is it a whole year now? Wow.
Excuse me. Last year on April 13th, 2015, during a village board meeting, I threw out 6 questions at what was the beginning of the fast food topic, an issue that this board began to address at that time. Some of those questions are as follows. Did the opening of Starbucks cause any local business to go out of business? Should I infringe on free enterprise in Tuckahoe by supporting a law against Subway? Should I allow people to make their own choice on what food establishment they wish to patronize? Should I support a law that would allow a vacant storefront to sit empty instead of receiving sales tax revenue that would benefit the village? How many fast food establishments would open in Tuckahoe, and where would they set up shop? Would we become the new fast food mecca in southern Westchester? These questions were meant to spark an objective exchange of viewpoints on an extremely important section of local law. My sole intent was to have the community engage this board at our monthly meetings, or by written correspondence, or by personal interaction, and provide us with your input. Almost a year later, the time has come to make a decision, and my decision is based on the residents who communicated to this board over the past 11 months what they believed was the right path for this village to take. I applaud and thank those residents who took the time to let their views known to this board. It was obvious that these residents care and share a passion for this community. They took the time to write or appear at public hearings to let their feelings know. It was virtually unanimous what those concerned residents wanted: no fast food in Tuckahoe. If there were residents in favor of allowing fast food, their silence spoke volumes to me. And for that reason, I vote in favor of prohibiting fast food in Tuckahoe. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say, I spoke about this last month at our last meeting. And at our last meeting, I basically stated for the record that I was in favor of this legislation, and I'm still in favor, for all the reasons that Trustee Giordano said, and for all the reasons that Trustee Luisi just said. And I truly appreciate Trustee Luisi being a provocateur, getting subjects out that we may have felt a little uncomfortable with, right? You know, talking about things that were a little controversial. And that's exactly what we're supposed to do, to get the public out, get them interested, so that we can hear what they're going to say, your desires, your wishes, and what's best for Tuckahoe. And I will say, if this were a different municipality, if we were in, say, Yonkers or perhaps White Plains, I probably would not be voting this way. But it's Tuckahoe. And the smallness of our community, the 0.6 square miles, and the density that we have here is a major factor in my decision. So I'll be voting in favor of this ban tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Trustee
Mr.
Leo.
Mayor. First, let me echo the sentiments of my colleagues. I believe that this is an extremely important issue for the village of Tuckahoe. Keeping the village identity intact is of the utmost importance to me. We need to continue to encourage and foster to support the growth and success of local businesses. They are the lifeblood of our village. I believe enacting this law will provide the local businesses the opportunity to grow and become the fabric of our community. Therefore, I'm in favor for this local law.
Thank you. All right, we're going to take a roll call here.
Trustee Giordano.
Favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. That makes it unanimous. Thank you. Next is going to be resolution number 2, which is scheduling a budget hearing for April 11, 2016 to consider a tentative budget for fiscal year June 1, 2016 through May 31, 2017. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
Favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 3 is approving the use of the Tuckahoe Trolley for the St. Patrick's Day Parade on Sunday, March 13th, 2016. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. And resolution number 4 is approving the placement of the Home of the National Champions sign at the entrance to the village on Garrett Avenue. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And I want to thank Mr. Pope very much. He's actually bearing the cost of this sign. We're going to have our Department of Public Works put it in place, and it's going to be pretty neat when people are driving into the tiny little hamlet of Tuckahoe to see this is a national. So that's, again, I guess, how many times can we beat the dead horse tonight, right? So thank you very much, Mr. Pope.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 5 is authorizing the village clerk to issue a parade permit for the Memorial Day Parade scheduled May 30, 2016, and the donation of $3,000 for the Memorial Day Parade to the Eastchester Veterans Central Parade Committee and approving the use of the trolley. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 6 is ratifying the memorandum of agreement dated March 7, 2016, between the Village of Tuckahoe and the Local 456 International Brotherhood of Teamsters, AFL-CIO. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I just want to briefly thank our new, but he's really not new anymore, Village Administrator David Burke. David and I worked on this contract with our labor attorney, Chris Harold, and I felt it was actually a very good process this time. It normally is, but you know what, this time it made a lot smoother to have a village administrator kind of make sure that our I's were dotted and our T's were crossed. So thank you very much. We have a very good agreement that will carry us through to the year 2018 now. So the membership have signed it, and we've signed it, so we're going to be able to maintain our services certainly for the next couple of years.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 7 is authorizing the mayor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Westchester for sharing information through the Westchester County Repository for Integrated Criminalistic Information. Say that fast 3 times. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. And resolution number 8 is authorizing an amendment to the license and fee schedule as follows for sidewalk opening, street opening, and curb cut permits. What we're doing here is we're actually moving our fee schedule for these services to, again, mirror the town of Eastchester. We found that we were a little bit light. Most of these fees are paid by the utilities who are in, they seem to be on every street nowadays, actually opening up our streets. So these are fees that they will pay, and the fees are all addressed here on our agenda tonight. So do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. Resolution number 9 is authorizing the approval of vouchers in the amount of $432,669.84. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Trustee Giordano.
In favor.
Trustee Luisi.
In favor.
Trustee Leo.
In favor.
Trustee Alfasi.
In favor.
Mayor Eklund.
In favor. That's going to bring us to our section of the agenda where we have a discussion. And I would actually like to bring up a discussion tonight, and I'm going to throw it over for our village attorney to elaborate a little bit more on the Marbledale Road quarry and the DEC report. There's a report that just came out, but we feel it's important to let our constituents know what's going on down on Marbledale Road with the proposed hotel development that's been navigating its way through the planning board process. And we actually tried to get the village's experts here who've been at those planning board meetings to give a report. We kind of caught them short, so we're going to make sure we do that. We may actually do that at a special meeting if our residents who've lived here for a while, they remember when we had that Yonkers Avenue street closure project that the Army Corps of Engineers was torturing us with for quite a few years. We actually had a couple of meetings where we had them right here, and they were great meetings, well attended. So we're kind of looking to see if we can get a meeting like that put together. So, Mr. Gerson, if you can kind of bring us up to speed on
Absolutely.
this
I know the
project.
board's been getting a number of questions about this, and I spoke with Mike Musso, and he's teaching at Columbia tonight, so pretty impressive person you guys appointed. So bottom line is what's happening is the hotel applicant is before the planning board right now. And what happens is they're going through site plan. What the planning board did was they, a few months ago, they issued what's called a conditional neg deck with regard to seekers. So what they did, and the condition was that the applicant had to satisfy all the requirements of this brownfield program with DEC and DOH. So they said, well, what we want to do with all these technical, DEC, DOHs are the experts at this. They said, we're going to throw that over to their side. And DEC and DOH are in charge of this brownfield program. The way you look at the brownfield program, it's basically a three-step process. It's an investigative stage, then it's a stage where they figure out what's there and how to correct it, and then there's the implementation of that remedial plan. What we did receive Friday, as the mayor alluded to, was it's basically the DEC and DOH's closing of that first stage. That's the investigative stage. So they said the applicant did all the testing down there, submitted their findings to DEC. DEC said, well, we want some more testings. Applicant did more testings. DEC went down there themselves, did their own testings. And finally, they've gotten through the whole process of this investigative stage, and now they're at the point where the applicant has submitted a draft version of this remedial work plan of how they're going to propose to fix it. What happens now is they've submitted that to the DEC and DOH. DEC and DOH are actually looking at that plan. They will come up with some preliminary comments for the applicant. I know Mr. Musso from the village will be submitting preliminary comments on that initial work plan that they have. And then once the DEC is pretty much satisfied that they have a final draft, what they'll do is they'll open up a 45-day comment period to the public. So anyone in the public can have that plan. I believe the plan's on our website. The draft plan's on our website. But the 45-day comment period hasn't started yet. We probably think it's going to start the end of this month or the beginning of April. So as soon as that comes, DEC's DOH says, okay, we're going to start this 45-day period. We'll make sure we get that on the website so public can comment there. We'll direct them how to comment. So once all the comments are in, DEC will address all those comments. They may have the applicant tweak that plan a little bit or a lot. We just don't know. And once they have a final plan, then it'll be up to the applicant with our oversight, DEC's oversight, DOH's oversight to implement that plan. So that's kind of the process. The planning board is basically waiting until they get that final approval from DEC and DOH on how they're going to fix that problem before they really are going to vote or take any action on the hotel, because DEC, DOH may come back and say, well, you can't put the hotel there, it has to be moved over. We just don't know. So I think experts probably have a pretty good idea of how to correct it, but without going through this process, we're not sure. So the planning board's going through the site plan phases, looking at the traffic, looking at the colors of the building, the safety, all the issues of that 7-1 in our code, which they're supposed to be looking at. So they're going through that now while DEC and DOH are going through the brownfield process. So they're moving along simultaneously. And what we've done is we've asked Mike Musso to reach out to the DEC to see if they would be able to come down to meet with the village board at a public hearing, maybe a special hearing like you said, Mr. Mayor, and come and address what's going on down there, the specifics, exactly, what they found and what this remedial work action plan proposes and how they're going to fix everything down there and what the impact of the community is.
I think one of the important steps that we took also is that we engage the services of an expert, and the cost for that is being paid by the applicant, to go ahead and make sure that if this project does get approval from the planning board, that we have our own hired gun, so to speak, to make sure that the project is built pursuant to all these authorities, all the approved plans that they've all set. I think that's important. That's very noteworthy to mention. Yeah.
Absolutely, and like I said, he's teaching at Columbia tonight, so
Right.
I think you've picked the right guy.
Yeah, I watched the last planning board meeting. There's quite a few experts sitting over there in that box.
There
so.
were. I've been dealing with Mr. Musso basically on a daily basis, and very impressive. He knows his stuff.
Good. Well, that's the Marbledale Road Quarry project, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna try to see if we can get a maybe a special meeting. And when's the next planning board meeting on this?
Next planning board meeting's in, I think, 2 Tuesdays, 15th.
Okay. All right, good.
And they were just there about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I
Okay.
think was the last planning board meeting. So, but we're in a stage where DEC hasn't opened up that comment
Right.
period, so
Yep.
we're kind of in a holding stage with them right now. You know, like I said, they did close up their investigative stage.
Right.
I think that's going to be on the website too. Is that?
Yes.
So that's also on the website. It's a fact sheet that the DEC puts out, and that's on our website, so everyone can look at the remedial, the investigative closing of that.
Yeah, we have a new, very user-friendly website, if anybody hasn't looked at it lately. So you can download these PDF files, these PDF documents. So, yep, good. It's all good. Thank you.
welcome.
Anybody else on the board wish to speak on this? So if not, we're going to move on to the departmental reports to the board. And as we always do, we start with our chief of police, John Costanza.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Just a couple of quick announcements. One is that a sure sign of spring, I guess, is when we start flipping the snow zone signs and start putting the alternate side of the street regulations back in place. And that process has begun this week. We will get to it over the next 7 to 10 days. We start off by issuing warnings to people who are parked on the wrong side of the street once that begins. So I just want to highlight that to our residents, that process of flipping the signs has begun, and to look out for that when it comes to your neighborhood. And then just the second announcement is that the 2015 police report was submitted last week. It's on our website. There's some copies outside. I invite the public to take a look to see some of the activities of the police department in the year 2015. And that's my report.
The very busy police department, yes. They're doing a lot of good things for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm actually going to, before I ask Mr. DeMarco to come up, I'm going to invite Senator Latimer to come on up. So he's not a department head, but he's, unless you want to be an acting department head tonight, pick a department.
After leaving Albany, Mr. Mayor, I think I'm ready for whatever. I happen to come back in from Albany tonight. I'll be going back up in the morning. And when I realized that you guys were on, I just did want to stop by briefly to let you know that we're now about roughly 3.5 weeks away from the end of the state budget process. And this is the period of time in which all of us are going to be trying to argue for the best possible set of policies in a host of different areas, all the different areas that the state government has responsibility for. It's a $154 billion budget, but the things that we're most particularly concerned about for Tuckahoe would be an increase in direct aid in the AIM program. We know that the tax cap is very low this year, gives you no flexibility. And so if you don't get some additional money from the state without a reduction of any of the mandates, which we've talked about before, we certainly have agreed with you that you shouldn't have to pay the MTA payroll tax and other similar things, but that's not changing in the short term. And we've talked also about some of the modifications to the tax cap. It doesn't appear those are going to happen. So you're not going to get the opportunity to take your capital and put it outside of the cap situation. So we're going to argue for the best possible AIM money. We're also going to argue, Amy Paul and myself and others, for additional CHIPS money, which is the acronym, as I don't know if the folks at home know, obviously you do in government, that involves highway improvement money. And we think those things are hopefully If we can convince the governor and get a two-house agreement on it, that would be helpful. And then the other element is we have not given up on the hotel tax. The Assembly is planning to put it in their one-house budget resolution, and we will try to make the argument between the Senate and the Assembly when that negotiation begins, which will probably be next week, late next week, to try to make that a budgetary case to give you that potential opportunity as well. How it's all going to turn out, I don't know. It's like we're in the bottom of the sixth inning, and anybody who can predict the way it's going to be at the end of the bottom of the ninth, is guesswork. But I did want you to know we're at that point. I welcome any of your individual input or your collective input. If there's any other element of the state budget that's at hand right now that we need to hear about it, then I'd welcome that. I'm sure I speak for Amy Paulin as well. And, hopefully we can bring back something that will help you instead of hurt you as part of the process.
The hotel tax, of course, is something that was high on our priority list. Even though we don't have a hotel, I know it, it was, if we do have a hotel, it's going to be a significant item for us to go ahead and look at. That money directly assists us in our police department, our public works department, to go ahead and assist us in maintaining that section of our village. CHIPS money, people who don't realize what CHIPS is, it's for all our street paving, and we have a list on our website, and we keep changing it each year. It's a priority list 1 to 5, and it's unfortunate that we just don't have enough money. We can't tax our residents, which means we can't put enough money in the budget, which would be a tax burden on them to go ahead and do the paving that we would like to. So we end up putting Band-Aids as much as we can. We do a great job in making sure that the utilities will go ahead and pave curb to curb, which rather than these patches that they used to do. So, we've done a lot of things over the last couple of years to try and squeeze, squeeze our dollar. But, CHIPS money is something that, the roads in Tuckahoe are being traveled on not just by Tuckahoe residents, but by Albany residents too. And I think that that's something that Albany should take a hard look at. Yeah, we can certainly use it.
As we've talked about before with the hotel tax and other things, from a legislative standpoint, we've tried very hard to make the argument. Sometimes we're not persuasive with the governor, so hopefully we'll be more persuasive this time.
He only lives a couple of miles up the road, and he's got an open invitation to come on down here
I'll
and
take a ride
talk
up
to
there,
his
6 of us.
constituents, which are these Tuckahoe residents. So
We'll take a ride up there and see if we can, make some progress.
Wonderful.
Senator, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for, I do WVOX. You've been on my show. We've spoke about these particular items on the show, and you never shy away. And I want to commend you for that. And as we spoke on the show, certainly about the hotel tax, I think this was an opportunity the governor missed. I think you agreed with me on that. He has a board here in this village and in other municipalities where he has many Republicans sitting on the boards, and they were all in favor of this, and this is something that he could have had a feather in his cap, and I hope he reconsiders.
Well, you're right, Steve, and I think one of the things that's most unfortunate is that this is a right that's been given, power that's been given to Yonkers. It's been given to New Rochelle. It's been given to White Plains, Rybrook, and Rye City, all of which is good. There is no logical reason for Tuckahoe not to have that authority. There's just you have to provide the same police, fire, sanitation services that every community does. The size of the city is not relevant. What's relevant is that if an incident were to happen at a hotel, you would have to put police force and services much greater than what their contribution to the community is. We had a terrible incident at the Rye-Town Hilton a number of years ago where there was a murder. And I spoke to Greg Austin, who's chief of police in Rybrook Village. That village is roughly the same size population that your village is. And it cost them an additional $100,000 worth of police services. The terrible tragedy a long time ago, 35 years ago, at what was then called the Stouffer Hotel, there was hundreds of thousands of dollars of fire response by the town village of Harrison. And so there's every reason to tax the out-of-town visitors, not the local residents, the out-of-town visitors, to help put that insurance policy in effect. And that's exactly what your services are. So we're on the same page. I think logic is on our side, and now the question is, can we persuade those decision makers to see it the same way?
Well, Hopefully you'll be a strong voice on our behalf, and we appreciate that.
I'll do my best. And I won't continue your meeting any further, but if you need me for any reason, and of course I've worked with David and other assignments, feel free to give me a call. I'm happy to come back to Village Hall and meet with you at your convenience.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Very good luck. Take care.
Well, we're going to bring up now Department Head Frank DeMarco. Thank you, Frank. Thanks for your patience.
Hey, Mayor, board members. I really don't have much to say tonight. I just want to congratulate the girls on winning the nationals. I thought it was an amazing feat. But if anybody has any questions for me.
Anything, spring, I hear the birds out chirping. The Canadian geese are swooping down into the quarry. They're waking me up first thing in the morning. So tells me that, and I hear it's going to be 70-something degrees 2 days. Any transition in your department with, I see
I would love to talk about spring. I'm not going to even mention the other word because I'm afraid of what might happen. But
oh boy, I'm totally beyond that whole snow aspect.
I always feel that March is a crazy month, and my grandmother always said that. She always said that March is crazy. And she said it in Italian, but it kind of made sense.
How about potholes? We're fixing some potholes, I see.
We're doing potholes. Okay. What I do ask residents to do is call us if we miss a pothole in your road. Obviously, we can't get all of them, but we are on pothole patrol.
I noticed, actually, I'll ask you this, hope I'm not catching you off guard, but you never catch Frank off guard. On Lincoln Avenue, where they had that line that came down just north of Marbledale Road, the fire that was in the street, it kind of carved out or melted part of the road, and there's a big cone there. Are we waiting for Con Edison to come and make that repair? Or?
Oh, we are. Con Edison is going to do some extensive repairs. I mean, it's not only that one site, it's also the sidewalk there, but they still have many repairs from our last season that they still need to tend to, which is Lake Avenue, River Street, Bronx Street, and some other roads that are still in need of repair. The blacktop plants have closed earlier this year, so I would have rather they not done the repairs anyway because it wouldn't adhere properly.
Okay.
So springtime and the summertime is really the proper time to do the repairs.
And we have a new fee schedule after tonight, so I'll make sure they update those forms.
You know, you brought up a good point with that incident with the, that was 23,000 volts. That primary line that came down, very dangerous. You have residents that are watching it, you know, please stay home. If you get a situation like that, it's 23,000 volts that are looking for ground, and ground is actually the ground. So once that wire hits the ground, it's constantly penetrating, so it's digging into the road. What was dangerous about that situation that night is our gas main, which was just replaced in plastic, was right underneath that area where that line was trying to dig into the ground.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
But very dangerous. So I ask residents to please stay in. If you see something like that, don't watch to see what would happen because you probably don't want to be around when something like that happens. Again, a lot of these gas mains are changed over from cast iron to plastic. And it just makes it, for a situation like that, just a little bit more dangerous.
You know, it's interesting, that night, I live down the street, I live on Marbledale Road down the street, closer to Fisher Avenue, but the flame from that down line was so high. I mean, I saw it from a block away. So I called down to the desk here, and they had already been alerted to it, and I said, I have to believe that there's a house on fire. I mean, it was amazing how, you know, you would think that a power line, it's sparking. This was a full fire. I just couldn't get over that.
Dangerous situation.
Yeah, I never saw anything like that before.
You know, the top wires on these utility pole is the primary line. That primary line is usually 23,000 volts, anywhere from 17 to 23. But that goes to a transformer that feeds the next 3 lines below that. So those 3 lines are the lines that feed our homes. And then the lines down below are the low voltage lines where our communication lines. It could be Cablevision, it could be Verizon. So, you know, please just stay away from anything like that.
So a transformer is stepping the current down
Correct.
to the lower service that's giving us the 110 service in our
For our
house.
homes and
or
businesses.
220 or, yeah, okay. You gave us an education here tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
Frank, before you go, just want to mention to you, my colleagues here on the board, and the residents. I received a phone call from a resident of Hollywood Avenue. Just wanted to, quite impressed. Last Wednesday when it was Recyclable Day, it was a windy day. happened to look out the window, and there was one of your workers with a plastic bag picking up all the recyclables that were just blown all over the street. And he was just so impressed with that was being done, and he wanted me to relay his appreciation of your department and that particular worker that day.
Thank you. For some strange reason, and I still can't figure it out, every recycling day is a windy day. So we're so
can
used
blow
to
the
sending
newspapers
somebody
all
back
over.
out. Yeah, papers all over the place and recyclable bottles and cans. But we're so used to it that we just typically now just send somebody out to collect the bottles and cans that are all over the road. And we do place the bins basically on property, and again, it's a windy day, and garbage bins get blown into the street, and we get calls all day long. Somebody took my bin's down the road, somebody stole, you guys throw it in the garbage. No, we don't throw bins in the garbage, unless you ask us to, but we do the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Mr. Galuzzi, I know we have a special event coming up.
Good evening. Good evening, Board, Mayor. I'd like to just take a moment and heap more praise on the Tuckahoe cheerleaders, the Tiger cheerleaders. It's one thing to be a winner, but getting to be a champion, well, that's the higher feat. So congratulations, Tuckahoe Tiger cheerleaders. Of course, the Easter egg hunt is coming up on Saturday, the 26th of this month, and that will be down on Parkway Oval Field. We'll be on the field. Swirl and Joy will be there, providing some ice cream and hot coffee. So I know the combination's a little odd, but that's what they'll provide. They're going to help sponsor that event along with the Generoso Pope Foundation. We'd like to thank a special thank you to the Boy Scouts that always come down and they give us a big hand with the Easter egg hunt. Troop 353, so we'd like to thank them, and we'll see them again on the 26th, Saturday down at Parkway Oval, the annual Easter egg hunt. We had our open mic this past, young adult open mic at the community center this past Saturday. It was very successful. And a special thank you to Rita Clement, and I think she's here this evening, or was, for helping out and the capacity of being a chaperone and host. Some of the entertainers that came out to support the young adult open mic were Anthony Gelli and his family, and also Gabby and Sophie Adams of Crestwood, so we thank them very much for coming out as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Camille, anything from the clerk's office? Okay. And our village attorney, Gary Gertzen, anything special? Nothing else? And David Burke, our village administrator.
Sure. Just want to let everyone know that obviously the board knows the tentative budget will be filed on Monday, March 21st this year. I know that we've been going through line by line and really looking at this very intently, so you guys will get that on the 21st. But something else I also wanted to bring up is a lot of confusion. I've got a lot of calls, and even the mayor, you emailed last week about the community choice aggregation program and how there's maybe a little bit of misinformation out there about Tuckahoe joining or not joining, and there were some articles in the paper. Just to kind of clear that up is, I think it was October of last year, the board passed a local law allowing what that would allow the village to be a part of either the community choice aggregation program that the Sustainable Westchester is currently trying to set up, or any program in the future, even if it's a New York State program. So that local law actually allowed the village to join if it so chooses to join. At this current time, as you know, the board has chosen not to join. So I just wanted to make sure that the information's out there is that the current board has chosen not to. But what the local law did was allow us to join. There was no resolution that allowed, or we did join.
I'll carry it just a step further. What we decided against was this group was actually going to put all of our residents, if we had signed up for this, it would actually impose every property owner in the village to be automatically switched over into, they were going to go out for a low bid contract for an energy supplier. A lot of us have what we call ESCOs. These are, you get a bill, invoice from Con Ed each month, but you could have your energy supplied by ABC Energy Company. So Sustainable Westchester was going out for a bid, and they were actually when they were going to go out for bid, they were going to say, look, we have all these municipalities, so we have, let's say, a couple of 100,000 residents that have already, you're going to have this business right off the bat. And we discussed it, and we felt that it was really unfair to go ahead and impose a particular energy supplier on a resident when you really don't have any choice in that. You could opt out of it the minute you would be switched in, you could opt out. But we also realized a lot of people probably wouldn't even realize it because maybe everyone isn't studying their Con Edison bill each month. So we made that choice. I know that there's quite a few municipalities who made the similar choice. So we kind of felt that, you know what, maybe it would have been better if Sustainable Westchester had gone out to bid and said, look, we have the potential for all of these residents, give us a good price, a good rate, bid on this contract, and then we would have that opportunity to go ahead and say, you know what, any Tuckahoe resident or Eastchester or Bronxville would go ahead then and participate in it, rather than mandate and force the residents. So it was a good choice that we made to go ahead and not impose that, you know, on our residents. They should have the choice. It's their energy. They should have the choice. So thank you. Thank you very much for clarifying that, because, yeah, I think there was a lot of people out there who were starting to get nervous that we had made a change in that, and that was something we decided to not do. I'm going to talk about miscellaneous business. We have a reorganization meeting, which is coming up on April 4th, 2016. But actually, before that, we're going to have a village election. Village election in the village of Tuckahoe is next Tuesday. There are 2 trustee, every year there's a village election. This year there's 2 trustee positions that are up for election, and then in opposite year there's 2 trustees and the mayor's position is up. So there'll be election next week. The reorganization meeting is basically reorganizing the village government. We go through a whole process of designating who our newspapers are, who some key staff positions are, and then the newly elected trustees will actually get sworn in that evening also. The next regular meeting, regular budget hearing, is going to be on April 11th, 2016. The village general election, as I said, is on March 15th. The polls will be open, so everybody knows, at 7 o'clock in the morning. They close at 9 o'clock. And if you live in the village of Tuckahoe, you will go to the Tuckahoe Community Center and you will vote there. You will not go to Assumption Church, as we used to years ago. The village offices will be closed on Friday, March 25th for Good Friday, but the Department of Public Works will be open on that day. And as Mr. Galuzzi mentioned, the Easter egg hunt's going to be on Saturday, which is the day before Easter, Saturday, March 26th, down at Parkway Oval. And that's going to bring us to our Board of Trustees member reports, and we're going to start with your Deputy Mayor, Tom Giordano.
Thank you, Mayor Eklund. Just a couple of announcements. The next planning board meeting, as we mentioned, is on the Ides of March, March 15th, 7:30 p.m. On the agenda are 109 Marbledale Road, which is the continuing site plan approval for the hotel and restaurant. Also 100 Main Street, which is the site plan review for the proposed development there. And finally, 20 Depot Square is to expand the work area for dog grooming. And as you know, Tuckahoe is also the dog grooming capital of the United States, more infamously known than its cheerleading accolades. The zoning board meeting, which was currently scheduled for March 9th, has been canceled. The next meeting will be on April 13th, 2016. I just want to remind everyone that fast up and coming is daylight savings time. That'll be this Sunday. So remember to spring forward on Sunday so you make it to the parade on time this weekend. Wish everyone a great evening. And that's it.
And a happy St. Patrick's Day.
And a very happy St. Patrick's Day, absolutely.
Trustee Luisi.
Thank you, Mayor. We could have we could just do a whole routine now, I guess. But seriously, I'd like to start off my report about our Tuckahoe seniors. And to piggyback off our earlier speakers, the Tuckahoe seniors will be celebrating St. Patrick's Day on Tuesday, March 15th at Rory Dolan's. Then, on April 28th, the seniors will be off to the Broadway Theater up in Elmsford to watch Man of La Mancha. And then Yvonne Parker returns to cater a soul food luncheon on March 31st. And as always, which I haven't done in a while, and I've been delinquent in that, but I encourage children, grandchildren, if you can, please enroll your senior family members with the Tuckahoe Seniors. The information is on our website on how to do that. It's really wonderful. They meet twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday at Father Fodder Hall. I have a report from the History Committee, and they are beginning their 16th year of serving its mission to uncover and preserve the rich history of Tuckahoe. They meet every Wednesday here on the second floor in Village Hall from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. to receive photos, artifacts, and information to add to their collection. They recently received 2 helmets that were worn by World War II civil defense volunteers while they patrolled the residential blocks to ensure that no light emitted from windows when the country feared aerial attack. Also on display is an old fireman's hat that they are now attempting to get the correct date on. There is now a large marble step that is also on display here on the second floor in Village Hall. It served as to assist those entering and exiting a carriage or stagecoach. It's believed to have been located at the Ward House on the corner of White Plains Road and Winslow Circle. They also have recently interviewed the families of 3 multi-generational businesses that survived urban renewal. And those businesses were the Tuckahoe Paint and Glass, Roma's, and Epstein's. Nick Zanzano has done an unbelievable job of placing and locating 600 photos of Tuckahoe on DVD discs. So I believe they will be up for sale. Again, I believe that information is also on the website if the residents so desire, or we're going to attempt to do that. And lastly, actually there's 2 more items. They donated, the Tuckahoe History Committee donated a framed coverlet with scenes from Old Tuckahoe to the community center, quite similar to the one that we have on here on display in Village Hall. And lastly, the Tuckahoe History Committee would like to thank with extreme gratitude all those volunteers who give their time, talents, and effort to make this committee so successful. And also, I'd be remiss if I did not thank those donors for their financial support and services. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Actually, I'm just going to interrupt here for a second, because you really brought back a good memory for me about the helmets for the Civil Air Defense. My grandfather was a member of the Civil Air Defense, and he used to have one of those. I remember we had it in our house, so I wonder if that's maybe one of the ones they have. It was a white helmet. It had a red ring around it. And I always remember my dad telling me stories. My family's been in Tuckahoe since the 1800s, and the house I live in has been in my family that long. And my grandfather lived in that house, and my dad always used to tell me that he can remember my grandfather running up and down the streets yelling at everyone to go ahead and close their blinds. And I always used to think as a kid, geez, why did they have to do that?
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yep, it's Tuckahoe history, that's for sure. Thank you.
I guess, is that before they had the clapper?
Yeah, yes.
You
yes.
remember they had the clapper.
Brought back good memory, thank you. Trustee Leo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind everybody that the public library has some really wonderful programs, and everyone should really take advantage of them. I'm just going to read a few that are on this month. The Music of Lennon and McCarthy, which takes place on Wednesday, March 23rd. If you're a Beatles fan, I think this is a great program. Join the Kids Sing Along with Miss Elaine. That will take place on March 14th at 11:30, and Saturday, March 19th at 11 a.m. It's open to children from birth to 6 years old, and registration is required. Intro to Meditation, Spring 2016. It's 5 Thursdays from 9:15 to 10:15 a.m., and it takes place on March 10th, 17th, 24th, and 31st. And the instructor is Ann Caspini. And then there's a creative writing workshop, which will take place on Mondays, April 4th and 18th, and that's from 1 to 2 p.m. Please call to register at the public library. It's puzzle time, and let's do puzzles together, and that is Friday, March 11th at 4 p.m., and that's open to ages from 3 to 6 years old. Again, registration is required. Zentangle, this is arts for adult, and that will take place on March 12th at 1 p.m. And this is really where you have an opportunity to take your time, get some coloring pencils, and do some beautiful art. And from what I hear, it's a very exciting program, so if you have an opportunity, please take advantage of it. There's a new story time in Spanish. Come and learn a little Spanish while having some fun with Miss Myrna. And that's Saturday, March 12th at 11 a.m. And it's open to ages birth to 5 years old. Again, registration is required. Legos in the library, and that takes place Friday, March 18th at 4 p.m. And it's open from ages 4 to 10. I guess no registration is required. Kids movie, that takes place on Wednesday, March 23rd at 11 a.m. and it's open to ages 4 to 10 years old. And again, registration is required. And that is it.
Thank you. Boy, it's always busy in the library.
Yes, the library is actually very busy.
Trustee Alfasi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to make one brief announcement. We're having a Women of Distinction Awards, so please join Assemblywoman Amy Paulin, County Legislator Sheila Marcotte, and our very own Mayor Steve Eklund in celebrating extraordinary women in Tuckahoe and their efforts to improve our community. This will take place Sunday, April 17th at the Tap House from 4 to 6 p.m. And this pamphlet that I have here is basically a nominating pamphlet, and you can find that right here in the village clerk's office or right outside the clerk's office. And they're taking nominations for women of distinction here in Tuckahoe. So please nominate someone. Come on out and join this fun event. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's going to bring us to the second opportunity to address the board on anything at all. So does anybody have anything they'd like to talk to us about tonight? Yes, sir.
Mayor, my primary issue and concern, along with many other citizens of Tuckahoe, and it should be the board and your paramount issue and concern, is the bridge. Have you ever gotten, in the 5 years or more that has been closed, an estimate or put it out for bids in removing it before it falls down on the tracks or on a train passing by? I have never read or heard anything about this project, not even on TV, in quite a while.
Yes.
Yes, actually, we've gone out and did get some preliminary pricing last year about this bridge. It came in significantly higher than we expected it to. Another kind of challenge that we have to do is work with the MTA about this. Frank DeMarco and myself actually sat down with the representative from the MTA last week and went over the many different facets that we have to actually do to take this bridge down, from setting up force accounts to figuring out flagmen and structural engineering and getting work permits and that kind of thing, and actually dealing with the different facets of MTA. And it's going to be a challenge to take it down, but as I said to the mayor, that is our goal for this year, and Frank and I are actually working on that. So it seems like it's not moving along, but there are a lot of different aspects with MTA that we're trying to work through.
And I think the residents won't really see anything until the bridge is going to come down. So it's all office work, and it's all, I guess, back office work to get the contractor in place to go ahead and actually effect that job to take it down, as well as Mr. Burke mentioned, all the red tape dealing with MTA. So you're not going to necessarily see guys out there until it's actually going to happen. And we'll certainly let the residents know that before it's going to happen.
Well, I hope so, because nothing has been in the papers or anything about
Well, it wouldn't be in the paper. It's just part of regular, it's part of the business of the Department of Public Works to get that job done.
All right. Traffic at the Crestwood Station and Lincoln and Fisher Avenue is very bad. And when the new building when with the new building and the stores are occupied, it will even get worse. I think a new traffic survey is needed because it took me almost 10 minutes to get out of a parking space on the train side of the station because cars were double parked waiting to pick up people from the train. I got out of my car because a car was blocking me and found the car running with nobody in it. The entrance and exit on Fisher Avenue to the new building is awful. How could the planning board approve that? What's going to happen when moving trucks start moving people in and out? I went into that lot behind the new building to see what would happen. It took me almost 2 traffic light changes for me to make a left-hand turn on Fisher to White Plains Road. Some sort of sign should be put up, such as active driveway, do not block it. Which way will the traffic be moving once the project on Midland Place is complete? Will it start being, will it be a while before it happens? Or becomes another Long Island Expressway? Because you can only seem to go in it, you can't go out it and go around. And once the hotel and the apartment house goes up on Marmaldale Road, there'll be another traffic situation. When my wife and I moved into Tuckahoe 16 years ago, it was a very nice, quiet little hamlet. But now it's beginning to look like Co-op City with the big buildings and the houses. A fire engine the other day, coming from Columbus Avenue into Fisher, couldn't get through until I and all the other cars pulled over to the right side of the street, almost hitting the cars parked there. It was a good thing that the fire truck was going back to the house instead of going to a fire. Is it possible to have a loading space for truck making deliveries to the stores on Fisher Avenue by the parking lot, where they tie up traffic when they do make deliveries? I know it means losing at least 2 parking spaces, but it might be saving accidents. Eastchester has one by Piper Kilt, and it's on White Plains Road. On a happier note, I want to thank the DPW workers for a good job done in decorating the street lights and the many trees in Tuckahoe. I felt sad when I saw them taking down all the lights and the wreaths. Another pat on the back to them for the outstanding job on snow removal and plowing to keep us sound and safe. And again, I'd like to echo my congratulations to the Tuckahoe cheerleaders. They had to be very dedicated girls from 11 to 14 to concentrate and do the job that they did. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Kylie Stevens. I've spoken to a couple of you on the phone before. I know Mr. Leo and Mr. Alfazi and you, Mr. Mayor. Also, Mr. Fior in the back. I just wanted to formally introduce myself as the Eastchester Review reporter. So you'll start seeing me a lot more. I don't do the public speaking thing, but I just wanted to say hello and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. We've had, we used to have Charlie Johnson, right, was the reporter a couple of back? And then we had Chris Eberhardt, right? Okay, good. So, okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming up and introducing yourself. Appreciate that. And, all right, so if there's nobody else to speak tonight, we are, oh, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
I just want to congratulate you and the board on shutting down that fast food bill. I appreciate it very much, and that my time was not wasted.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Before I adjourn tonight, I'm going to honor the request of the folks here who came for the St. Patrick's Day Parade and ask if we would all just stand in silence Moment of silence for former trustee Stephen Quigley. Thank you. We miss him dearly, especially this time of year, as they mentioned. I miss him. I miss seeing him. I used to see him every evening walking up Main Street to go home, and he was a great guy, so sorely missed. So if there's no other business tonight, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Till next time, Tuckahoe, have a very good evening.